Welcome to NHP's On Your Mind, a special 8-part series on 99FM where we engage with various healthcare professionals to unpack a number of extremely relevant topics related to the well-being of Namibians. We will also be addressing the mental, psychological, and physical attributes of the points at issue and share valuable information and advice to the Namibian public. It seems as though, the progress or healing in terms of the GBV discussion, we are working at a snail's pace in Namibia. What can each and every one of us do in terms of the work, just changing the narrative around gender-based violence in the country?
I think that what the Shut It All Down protest showed us last year is that young people are mobilizing around this issue. I think young people in Namibia, especially the very young generation, the teenagers, early 20s, they are very, very vocal about their demands. They're very, very aware, I think, more than our generation and older generations were, about what gender equality really means and what it should look like. And so I think supporting movements like that is so important, amplifying what those activists are saying and doing. And also engaging with our leadership in a more meaningful way. So the way that our political system is set up doesn't really allow us for, I can't just go to the Ministry of Gender and speak to the minister directly.
Oh, no. Yeah.
That doesn't work. We've seen that doesn't work. But there are things that we can do. We can petition the government to enforce some of the legislation they already have in place that would help with this. We can petition the government to make the protection order system more accessible. A lot of women struggle just to get a protection order from someone who's abusive in their life. And that, getting safety and having access to safe spaces is a huge part of that process for them. And like I was saying, transforming our education system. And I think for our leadership from their side, I think being proactive about this conversation is what's most important.
True.
So the fact that we so rarely see conversations about so-called gender issues in Parliament, in the National Council, in the National Assembly is a huge problem. I mean, the fact that people can protest and sign a petition, have a petition that's been signed 50,000 times, asking for accessible, free, safe abortions, but that issue is never discussed in Parliament. That's a huge problem.
True.
And we need to hold people to account. It would be really great if a lot of our leadership could publicly say, I stand for gender equality, and I understand that these are some of the reasons why gender-based violence is so entrenched in our society, and I'm committed to changing them. That would be, I think, a huge deal. And then at the end of the day, I think believing women when they come forward and speak about their experience, supporting women, supporting the LGBTQ community who are also completely affected by gender-based violence and not supported even as little as women are supported, but they have no support when it comes to government resources. So there's a lot that can be done from, the interaction that you and I could have to the interaction that I could have with my family behind closed doors, the interaction I have with young children or when educating people, and the interaction I have with leadership. So I think it can happen on all levels. It's just a matter of finding those ways and being consistent and bringing more people into that conversation.
Yeah, I like that, especially the consistent part, because nothing gets solved just by one conversation and, one march and one hashtag and one conversation. So yeah, thank you so much for bringing that up. And finally, your message.
Thank you so much for having me. In wrapping up, I would say to Namibian people, I think the time for complacency is over. The time for hoping that somebody else is going to take action to address gender-based violence is over. I think taking individual responsibility is really important, as much as we have to also change all the structures that are holding this patriarchal society in place. So standing up, being accountable for yourself, holding others accountable, I think that's what we need to do. And that's what I hope to see in 2021 and going forward.
Indeed, that's what we definitely need to do. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And that is it for part 2 of NHP's On Your Mind, where we spoke to Ndapwa Alweendo, where we spoke on the root of GBV in our country and asked the question, why are we so angry? Thank you for joining us.